I don't think I'm usually sarcastic.
No, I wouldn't say you're a sarcastic person.
I'm very straightforward.
Right. Which is why whenever he said, man, your sarcasm's on point today, I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
All he said was no.
Well, it was a dumb question.
It wasn't.
Yes, it was. Did you guys get canes?
He could have gotten you a drink.
But he would have gotten canes. Wherein the you
But I was
guys...
talking about both of you.
Sure.
Don't assume what I meant.
I'm not assuming what you meant. You literally said, did you guys get canes? So since you're talking about the two of us, plural,
Right.
and either one of us could have got canes, and the answer would have been, of course we got canes.
No.
Yes.
No. Are we
Now, if
ready
you
yet?
would have been like, oh, Chris, did you get canes? I know I said no. It would have been like, oh, yeah, well. But then if you were like, hey, Trey, did you get canes? Trey could have been like, no, Chris got canes and got me a drink. Which, yes, we both got canes. I didn't. Neither one of us just got a drink.
You are exhausting.
This is Twin Stick Radio, episode 61 for the week of March 21st, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Trey Higgins, and I'm joined by Chris Rodriguez.
Hello.
And Justin T. Lopez.
How's it going?
Good. It's going fantastic. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Any fun stories for the week, Justin?
You are the worst. You're like a child mixed with an old man.
He's like the big little brother
So I'm
you
just
never
an old
wanted.
man.
No, because
Yeah.
you forget things like an old man, but you're stubborn like a young person.
So
I don't know. I feel like old people
so
are
I'm a
pretty
36-year-old?
Sure, why not?
I feel like old people are pretty stubborn too.
I guess. I don't know.
And I tell you the story. So, my sister has been in rare form like since she turned 21. Where anytime that like
It's the alcohol.
Exactly. Anytime a drop of alcohol like touches her lips, she just turns into like a fucking Desperate Housewives character.
Oh, no.
And so at Thanksgiving, it's after dinner, we're cleaning everything up, and I just hear her yelling at my great grandma from the dining room, and she's like, "You don't give a shit, and you need to like get off your ass and go make some friends," and blah blah. Blah. And my 96-year-old grandma, I walk in there and I was like, "Sierra, you absolutely cannot talk to her like that."
Wait, this is your sister
she's
yelling
like-
at your grandma?
She's cussing at my great grandma
Great-grandmother.
because my great grandma like she doesn't want to go to. She lives in a nursing home,
Right.
And she doesn't want to go to the common eating area. And my sister works there, so she sees her every day of the week. And I walk in, I was like, "You can't cuss at her like that." And my sister goes, "You don't see her ever. You don't understand. Shut the fuck up." I was like, "Oh my god."
That's amazing. Like, I initially thought, your great-grandma was yelling at
No.
your sister for maybe being drunk or
Nope.
something.
My great grandma was just sitting there,
That's
like
10 times better.
soaking it up. She was just having the time of her life because she loves getting to my sister. Like if she can annoy my sister, she's gonna do it, and she'll get every minute of enjoyment out of that.
I feel like, how old is she? 95, you said?
95 or 96.
I feel like once you're 95 or 96, you just don't care.
No.
It doesn't matter. You can't tell me what to do.
Well, the thing about my sister, she's just bossy. And as she's grown up, the bossiness has changed from I like to be in charge of everything to I legitimately care about you and I think I know better than you do, so I'm going to boss you around. Like it's a caring kind of bossy. It
runs in the family.
I'm not bossy.
Right.
Am I bossy? I don't feel like I'm
No.
bossy.
I wouldn't say bossy.
I'd like to
I would
be
say...
Oh, here we go.
this is either going to be like really nice or it's going to crush me.
I think it's going to be a backhanded compliment.
This might ruin my day or make my day.
I don't know an adjective or a verb or whatever to describe the
You are indescribable.
insatiable need of still needing to be right.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Like I don't know that's more what it is. So you will push back on anything that you know is wrong.
To be fair, in the 4 years that we've been doing this, I have gotten like 3,000% better.
Sure, I agree.
I've gotten way better. I have
Yeah,
my
I do
moments.
agree.
I fail, but like you should. You weren't there at the beginning. Like
Yeah.
it was rough.
Really?
Oh, it was
Like, you're
just-
talking about episodes where we just sit here and argue.
You know that
was
that
all the
meme
podcast
where the two
was.
biker dudes are yelling at each other. That was
Oh,
literally
yes,
a Twin
yes,
Stick
yes.
Radio episode in the beginning.
Yeah. Yep. So
Actually, I saw the best one ever. Okay. It was the the one is like, you don't need to eat anymore, and the guy's like, meow, and the other one's like, no, I already filled your fucking bowl, meow. Best one ever.
So we're changing our show just a little bit. We're going back to recording on Thursdays because it just works with everyone's schedule so much better.
You're welcome.
You're the one that caused the move, and then you're the one that suggested the move back. So I'm proud
I
of you.
fixed the problem, so I can never hear. Well, we used to record on Thursdays.
We're probably
Now
still
you
going
just
to make
got to
that
work.
joke.
Now you just got to work on being late.
I'm gonna jump off a roof.
That change is nice for two reasons. A, it allows us to get all our news on Thursday, which is perfect because that's the way we did it for a really long time until Justin made us change. And the second reason is that it's going to help us condense the podcast a little bit because we play D&D at 7 and we can't start recording until 5:30. So one of the things I want to try is last week I noticed we got through the news fairly quickly when we did it at the top of the show, and that left us the tail end of the show to do whatever the fuck we want. So I think we should stick to that format for a while. That way we don't get lost in an hour conversation at the beginning about whatever we've been playing.
Makes sense.
You guys want to try that out for a while, and if it doesn't work, we just
Sure.
Yeah. And then if people want to tune in for the news, it's just boom right there. And then if people enjoy hearing us talk about whatever we want, then they can stay a little bit after.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's do the news.
So I've been playing Division.
Right. So let me tell you about Taco Bell.
First up, we have about 3 news items. We have a rumor mill and a couple of quick saves. It's a good news week. Recent job postings from Disney seem to indicate that a staffing up. Of course,
This was what I read, and I was,
Yeah.
this is what I was trying to remember.
indicate a staffing up of Lucasfilm Games. Disney is currently hiring for producers, art directors, marketing coordinators to work out of a San Francisco office, although it seems as though they are also hiring for an Asian office as well. Job summaries include descriptions such as roles that support, quote, the visual development and production of multiple licensed titles, end quote, as well as job responsibilities that say, quote, meet with game developers both in person and remotely to ensure product vision and quality benchmarks are met, end quote. Lucasfilm Games was founded in 1982 by George Lucas and ran until 1990 when the Lucas companies were reorganized and the games division changed its name to LucasArts. Here's the interesting part of all this. A representative from Lucasfilm has clarified to IGN that Lucasfilm Games has existed and helped to ensure games meet Lucasfilm standards ever since the closure of LucasArts. Any job posting for Lucasfilm Games are due to Disney wanting to make sure their game scene is staffed appropriately for any Lucasfilm properties. Disney as a whole is still focused on third-party license development and are still very committed in working with EA.
I did not know that last part.
I didn't know that either.
I think we did because we've talked about Battlefront. There's a reason you don't have a pink Darth Vader skin in Battlefront.
Right.
It's that version of Disney or whatever that is those are the guys there that are like, no, if you're gonna redesign Darth Vader, we'll redesign Darth Vader.
Well, we knew that like Disney still had their hand in things. I don't think that we realized that there was a third party company because like
Sure.
the craziest thing about the story is that the way that IGN reported it was like Lucasfilm Games is a new thing that just got opened up.
Yeah.
Like they were surprised to learn that it's been a thing for the past 10 years, 2011 or 12, I think was when Lucasfilm.
Maybe it was just a department and not an actual thing.
Maybe. It's still so funny that like that makes the whole Battlefront thing and all the closures of studios and cancellation of the games, that makes it even worse because it means that Disney's had like a specific division whose job it is to make sure that shit like stays together and doesn't fall apart, that literally hasn't been doing their job.
Right. We were kind of giving Disney the benefit of the doubt. It's like, well, this is kind of more on EA. It's like, well, no, not really. Like
Seems like they're pretty
you basically had
complacent
like
in
a
all
quality assurance group that was like, nah, just do whatever you want, I guess.
Fuck quality. So that was interesting. Any thoughts, Chris?
Nope.
No? All right.
I want Lucasfilm. I want LucasArts to come back.
I do too.
That's the thing though.
They made
Everybody
better games.
Everyone who's seen this being talked about lately is acting like it's coming back because
No,
of
it's
this,
not.
and it's
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
100%
not
not.
exactly what's happening.
We're never going to get KOTOR 3.
Nope.
Ever.
Although I did see,
Didn't happen.
what was it? A show or something. I think a Star Wars show is going to be placed in that same timeline universe around the Knights of the Old Republic era.
Cool.
If that's true, I totally missed
That'll be
that.
terrible.
I mean, sure, in pessimistic world.
I think this is the biggest news of the week. Google has announced its new gaming initiative, Stadia, which is not a piece of hardware, but instead a streaming service meant to be used across various devices. Google is aiming to stream games at 4K 60 frames per second at launch, with goals to eventually upgrade its service to 8K and 120 frames per second in the future. Google has confirmed that the Stadia is more powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One combined. They showcased this by showing two players loading into Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Stadia and Xbox One X. On the Stadia, the load speed was less than 5 seconds, whereas the Xbox One X took around 15 seconds. Google has also announced a fairly lackluster controller that connects through Wi-Fi directly to the game running on Google's Game Data Center. Google has announced their own first-party studio, creatively named Stadia Games and Entertainment, led by Ubisoft and EA Motive's Jade Raymond. The studio will not only be developing first-party games for the platform, but will work with third parties to ensure that the Stadia's various features receive proper support in upcoming titles. It's here, guys.
So
Ready to never have to buy a console again.
yeah. I don't like the name Stadia. It doesn't sound like a console. It sounds like an artificial sweetener. True. It doesn't sound like anything with gaming.
It sounds like a bunch of white old men who want to get into the gaming business came up with names for a video game thing.
It sounds like a business buzzword.
Yeah.
Like, we need to work on the office's Stadia, your overall Stadia. But I don't know, like if we get more information on this, for me, it's going to all depend on games that are available for this. It sounds really cool in theory, especially if you have really good internet. Like I have really good internet to where if there are games that I would want to play on this, like it might be worth it for me. Also, depending on pricing, if it's cheaper than, the price to upgrade your PC every year or so, then I could see this being pretty successful as well.
I've said this before, and I still believe this. I think that streaming is the future of gaming, because I think that the biggest thing that stops audiences from growing is the amount of money it takes to get into gaming. I think that, if you have a world where all you have to buy is a controller, it's so much more accessible than the world where you have to buy a $400 box plus $60 games and all that.
With this, though, it does sound like you're still purchasing the games.
No, it doesn't sound like anything
haven't-
yet.
they haven't
We
said
have
anything
no
about
idea what it
purchasing
is
the
yet.
games.
Oh, I thought that's what we talked about the other day.
No, we were talking about it.
Oh,
but
got you. I thought, okay.
I said I hope that you buy the games and there's a streaming service.
But
Okay.
So basically, it replaces PS Plus or PlayStation Network or Xbox Live. You have a subscription service that you pay $60 a year for, and then you buy the games. So you digitally own whatever you own digitally. You don't own anything. You own a bunch of code. But then you just stream the game on whatever hardware you're streaming to, which doesn't need to be good hardware. The way they make this sound, it almost sounds like you could stream it on your smart TV. You know what I mean?
Which, and I like I said, I think that's the future of games. I still believe that. I just think it's too early. I think it's too early for a service like this to take off and be supported. It just seems like we need to get our internet infrastructure down in America before we start pushing streaming services like this.
I do still think that for sure, but I think the majority of populations are already in places where the internet is abundant. New York, the East Coast, the West Coast, all of Texas.
Your main
of the
consumers.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time. Of course, there's people in fucking, Podunk, Kentucky that probably have that probably have no internet whatsoever, but they own an Xbox. But I feel like that's a minority. I feel like that's a minority of gamers.
And according to Google, you require a 25 megabit internet connection to get 1080p 60 frames per second.
That's fast. For us, it's not. For people who live in a city, we have 100 down. Like that's nothing to us. Austin, they've got 1 gig and mostly across Austin.
Yeah.
But like in Seguin, that may not in the city proper, because even when I was living in Seguin, I had 100 down. But like outside of Seguin, in those Geronimo, Stockdale, Lockhart, 25 might be kind of tough.
Places where you can only get satellite internet.
Yeah, this is you can't do it on satellite internet. Yeah. So, by the way, Stadia is a Greek term for measuring distance.
Well,
you're welcome.
Well, there you go.
But,
look how far we've come with Stadia.
We've come from great distances with Stadia?
I don't know. I want to hope that this is just going to work out well, because I don't know. It seems pretty cool to me to be like, hey, like I don't need a box. I just I can play on my smart TV. I can play on my
100%,
computer,
1000%.
You know, like this has a 1440p monitor in it.
It's like what for?
Yeah,
that thing's barely powerful enough to fucking render 1080 videos.
It doesn't even have a disk drive,
right?
Like, but it has a fucking 1440, display, which means like I can try to stream 4K content on Netflix, but like, let's be real, even with our internet, it's hard to get a good like Netflix connection like that. So it'd be neat if I could hook up my game and be playing 4K games on this laptop that is already way too expensive.
Sure,
like that. I feel like that's a good feature. It's just, I don't know. It's hard for me because it's just I don't feel like I'm ready.
You feel for the people who don't have internet.
No, I just don't. I feel like you're launching a service in a place where there's not enough customers because that's the other thing that you're combating though, is that like at the end of the day, more people are like you than they are like me. More people would rather have the hardware. And so the vast majority of gamers that are playing games regularly enough to care about Stadia, they're not going to switch over to Stadia because they already have their PC or their PS4 or their Xbox One X.
But see, I'm not there. I would sign up for Stadia in a heartbeat if it meant I could get rid of the PlayStation on my computer.
You would?
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yes. Interesting.
Because I don't care about Podunk, Kentucky. I don't care about the shitty internet out in Australia. I don't care about that. I care about where I am, and most people do. Like
a true American.
Yeah, like a true fucking American.
I just would have thought as someone who still buys all your games physically, like the hardware was important to you. But
no, because that's less that we have to buy. I don't have to spend $1,200 every 3 years to upgrade my computer, or $500 for the next PlayStation 5, and then $5 for the PlayStation 6 or the Xbox, 2 or whatever it is. I just have to have a TV,
and you're getting
which we already have.
You're getting the best. Basically, quality out of it because
100%.
You can play it at 4K
I'm
max
playing all these
ultra
games
settings.
at ultra settings, which are better than PS4. Yeah. Witcher 3 on ultra looks better on PC than it does on PS4. So it's like there's no downside to this as long as you have the internet to deal with it.
Right.
And for the most part, the people who are going to sign up for this have the internet to do it.
Well, and that's the thing though, is I just feel like a lot of people that have the internet to do it aren't going to sign up for it because they're happy with their hardware. And I think I think it's harder to convince those people than it is to convince new people to give it a shot. And
they're happy with the hardware that's about to be outdated in 2 years or maybe a year.
Shit. I mean,
so if this comes out next year, that I don't have to buy a PS5.
Right. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that they're, starting to market this or at least announce
maybe
it
not
around the time, actually jumping the gun before the next Xbox and PlayStation.
I think it's because it's not this, like they're talking about how it's more powerful than PS4 and Xbox. Great. It's more powerful than 5-year-old hardware. Good job. You guys have done an amazing thing. But I would guess that it's going to be less powerful than a Xbox One, 2, and PS5.
I don't think so, because it's not a console. It's a cloud-based service that there's already a service like this on PC called Shadow, where you can basically rent games and you can stream those games to whatever PC you're on for a set amount of time. And they're using the Shadow's infrastructure and servers to run the game.
Right.
So whatever, Google just needs to update all those things with the latest graphics cards, and it's already more powerful than any console there on the market.
Yeah, but chances are it's still probably 3 years behind in updating what they have already at the beginning of the service. I'm not saying it's always going to be like this, but I think that at the beginning it's going to be really hard to catch up within a year to the PS5 and Xbox whatever.
I don't know. Like with it, maybe if it was a different company, I would say that. But like with Google, they have some of the most powerful computers ever.
I can't remember what site it was. I'll have to find a link to it. But it was one of the PC gaming sites did a breakdown of the stats of the hardware that we know it has. And based off of what they were saying off of it, like it didn't sound super impressive. And to me,
the PS4 doesn't sound super impressive.
I know, but the PS4 is also, like I said, 6-year-old,
but
5-year-old hardware.
This is the hardware of the Stadia.
Yeah, of the Google the gaming data center. But anyway, my whole point being that like we already have not rumors. There are various sources that seem to believe that the PS4 and Xbox whatever, or PS5 and Xbox whatever, are going to have ray tracing technology in them, which is where people are hedging their bets for the future of graphics growth in gaming heading towards. They're talking about how the CPU is going to allow for more exploration into AI and development of AI.
Teraflops.
So many teraflops.
So many teraflops. But I mean, they're talking about all the way that the PS5 and whatever is branching off as far as technology goes. It sounds like it's doing things that you just probably can't do overnight in a data center.
Sure, but that also all sounds like things that nobody cares about in gaming. And, so like Xbox is like, we have 6 teraflops. It's like, oh, sure, but none of the games you have on your system even use 6 teraflops. It's like, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like none of the things that you spout as this is what we have and it's amazing. It's like, cool. I'm still playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
but I don't know that the average consumer necessarily cares. Like,
which is
because
why,
how many streaming services have we
think,
gotten that have just fallen apart?
Right. Which is why I think this is like the lack of technology in Stadia isn't that big of a deal, because it can be upgraded, and I would assume it can be.
It's obviously important to Google, which is why they keep leading with it. Like
sure,
they keep talking about
they,
how powerful this is compared to things that are on the market.
Well,
which is
sure.
fine.
I think that's the biggest.
That's a marketing thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's a selling point that people can understand. Like,
yeah.
They can go in. Well, not right now. They're not going to, but they could go into details of the things it can do. And maybe some of it would go over the vast majority of consumers' heads. But if I say, hey, that console that you're playing on? It's more powerful than that. The console that your friend has? Combine those two, and it's still more powerful than both of them.
Yeah.
That just sounds impressive.
I don't know, but it sounds like they're setting themselves up for a potential amount of failure when someone walks on stage and goes, this is Assassin's Creed Odyssey playing on Stadia, which Stadia looks fine. I'm not saying anything about the graphics, but you can tell that it's streaming. Like in the test breakdown that I saw, there's a little bit of blurriness. Edges aren't super sharp. There's, you can see that like it's not consistently holding at a 1080p or 4K or whatever they were streaming it on, because guess what? Sometimes you have little bumps in your internet that are going to fuck up your visual quality.
Right.
But you see Stadia on screen performing like the way it's supposed to perform, like, as good as it probably can perform compared to something running off of hardware that just looks beautiful and that has technology that Google didn't think about. Because that's the other thing too, is they're building up a service that exists to some degree, but
yeah, but who cares? Like I know there's people out there that do care.
Well, that's my thing. Is like I don't necessarily care about it, but I think that consumers do. I think that when you're talking to someone that's already playing on Xbox or PS4, they're probably more interested in staying in that infrastructure more than anything else.
I think the graphic fidelity. Like the only people I can think of that actually care are the people that spend $1,200 a year on their computer.
Well, I was going to say, most people who care about graphic fidelity is
small minority.
But that's your PC market.
Sure,
and that's kind of who you're marketing this towards, right?
Well, no, but that's a small,
going for the console market.
Yeah, it's a small minority of the PC market. Like I would assume most PC we've already established this, like 60% of players out there are PC players, but that's on PCs. It could be 9 years old because those run Fortnite and they run shit on Steam. But like I would say a very small percentage of people are the ones that are consistently buying the 2080 the 2080 GTXs and the over 9,000 Radeons, whatever the hell they're at. I would assume that's a pretty small minority, and this isn't for them. Like, right, this is for me, who I own the consoles, but if I didn't have to pay $500 every 5 years, I just had to pay a subscription fee every year. Man, I'm in. You know what I mean? That's awesome. That's less money I have to spend every year. Right. And if it doesn't work out, of course we're going to stick with. I'm going to, this saying. It's like Stadia could launch in 2020 when the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 360 launch or whatever it is. And if it doesn't work out, of course I'm buying my PlayStation. You know what I mean? But if it works like it's supposed to work, and for somebody who doesn't care, I played Anthem on medium graphics for the first week on my PC.
I think all that
I just didn't care.
I think all that's driving to my point, though, is that not only do you have a really bad time in the market to launch something like this, sort of like when they launched the Wii U like a year before the PS4 and Xbox One came out.
Sure.
It's like kind of a bad idea to launch your new hardware, but not hardware.
Well, that was also That was also Nintendo's fault for not communicating like this is a new console, not an extension of the Wii.
Well, even as a new console, it was still a stupid idea because it
it
was
was.
never going to perform the same way as a PS4 or Xbox One did.
Yeah.
Which I think Stadia is running into, and I also think that you have a service that you need to convince people to try out, and as long as like. If you're Google and you're touting power, but you're not going to be able to back it up in a year, like you're going to have a hard time switching people over to this thing that I think is good for the industry and that has potential to be super great and awesome.
Sure,
Yeah.
but
I don't want it to fail right off the bat because of timing and because they don't know how to market
but
it.
Well, we're assuming that. I mean, you said that like it won't be able to compete power wise with these consoles coming out in a year or two. Like it's kind of an assumption. Like I'm not saying that I am saying this isn't going to fail, but in some ways I feel like I would trust Google in the sense that if they're confident enough to be talking about this and knowing that Microsoft and Sony are coming out with their consoles.
We're also assuming, like we're talking power when honestly what we really should be talking is what's on Google Stadia. Mm-hmm. Sure, they have Doom. Doom's already been like, yeah, we're launched with Stadia. It's like, cool. Can I play Division on Google Stadia? Can I play Halo 6 on Google Stadia? Can I play PlayStation? Let me finish. Can I play PlayStation exclusives? Can I play Xbox exclusives? Can I have my Steam library on Google Stadia? Because all that's saying is if I can't even play Anthem on Google Stadia, I'm not going to buy it.
And the point that I was going to make was like, to the software thing. I think that's like, I think when you start getting into software, that's where you start making a losing argument for Stadia.
Of course, because they're not going to. I have a really fucking hard time thinking that Sony and Microsoft are going to get on board with a subscription service that's not theirs.
Microsoft might.
Microsoft might, but I don't see within the first year or two of Stadia any exclusives from any other platforms being on there. Well,
then like Division. I like I said, we don't know the pricing structure. If it's just a subscription service, no publisher is going to get on board with this if it's just a Google subscription.
But even if you have every third party game under the sun, even if the new Call of Duty is on there, Destiny 2, Division 2, Destiny 3, Anthem, even if all those games are on there, you still have to ask people to leave the ecosystem that they're in to go to a new one.
Sure.
And your ecosystem is determined by where people are playing at. And even if Chris Rodriguez 2020 decides that he's going to switch over to Stadia, you have to convince us and TJ and David and Daniel and all these other people to switch over too. And a lot of people aren't going to leave. A lot of people like where they're at.
You guys don't play games, so I don't have to worry about that.
Well, then you're going to have to make some new friends on Stadia.
Sure, yeah.
So I think when you start talking about software, it's like ultimately I don't think it matters what's on it so much because until we have a cross-play future, which is going to happen eventually, if we have a cross-play future, I don't think you're gonna get people that want to switch over.
Well, you're also only mentioning shared stuff, shared world games. Like, what about stuff like The Witcher or something like single player, like Spider-Man? Or I know that's a first-party exclusive, but stuff like that. Like that is a extremely promising future if I can play all my single player games on this thing where I don't have to buy a console and do all these other things, and all I have to do is pay a Stadia subscription fee, and then I just stream whatever game I want. I just have such a hard time thinking that any publisher or developer is going to get on board with that, because then it's like, well, then they're just sharing profits with Google, and games already don't cost enough money because of development. Well, right. So then they're going to cut their cost again on that.
And we kind of talked about that on Tuesday too, whenever we were doing trivia. I think that a major selling point, and this is huge, like assumption, I think a major selling point that Google could do is giving the developers or publishers or whoever's putting their games on for Stadia, basically giving them an even higher percentage of profits, if not all of them, and basically just profiting off of their service and their hardware, the actual, not console, but the actual box itself.
But
if Google is just
box.
taking
like that, you're not buying. There is no box in your house.
There's nothing.
Sorry. Okay.
according to them, if you own a Google Chrome, this will work.
Okay. So then just whatever they're charging for the service.
Yeah.
If Google's just making money off the service, because let's be honest. Like I said, they have really powerful computers that they're basically already paid for anyways. So they're just renting people to use them.
But you have to pay upkeep. You got to pay upkeep to all that shit. And like I said, if a publisher's not going to walk away with money in any sort of service, then they're not going to become part of it. There's a reason so many games are like, yeah, we're releasing on Epic because we get more profits than we do on Steam.
Well, and I think that's something that Google can afford to do is like, hey, like
is eat that and pay the publishers.
I mean, don't know about eat more of it than other smaller compared to Google.
Yeah, but
I don't know, man.
I said, huge assumption.
You can throw your money at a problem as much as you want, and Google has money to throw around. But
they do have money to throw around.
The reality is that the more money that it doesn't matter how much money you throw at a problem if you don't have people playing on your system.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I can go to Ubisoft and say, let me give you all this money. You can have a bigger percentage of the cut of the subscription if you just put Division 2 on there.
Right.
Which I think, Ubisoft would want to do because in the reality of games as services, even for single player games.
The more people playing your game, the better.
Yeah, because you have microtransactions and shit to sell. There's a reason why Fallout 76 can drop its price in 2 months. And Bethesda not really bat an eye. Not a great example because they probably were upset about that.
Sure.
But if it gets more people in their game, they're going to do it.
Which it did.
And
we saw Fallout sales not jump, but they went up.
But, I think where most people play at, and I don't know that we necessarily make up this statistic, but I would say that the majority of people that are playing video games on a daily basis, it doesn't matter whether they're playing Spider-Man or Halo or Fortnite, they're playing on the place where their friends are.
Sure.
And so if you don't have anyone playing on PlayStation, you're not going to buy a PlayStation, even if you really want to fucking play Spider-Man. You're going to play on Xbox because that's where all your friends are, and the single-player games are going to be determined by that console. So
no, Spider-Man is not on Xbox.
Yes.
Don't ask. Don't go to GameStop and ask them.
Does that happen?
People call GameStop all the time and ask for Battletoads still.
So
a dumb internet meme.
I think the biggest thing for Stadia's future, unless the service is just so great that there's no reason not to do it because you don't have to drop $500.
Well, on paper, it's like, hey, you like Netflix? Yeah. How about Netflix for video games? Okay. That sounds great.
But I think as long as Sony's playing fucking hardball about cross-platform connectivity, the Stadia's dead in the water.
Sure.
Because, if I can just pick up on Stadia.
The water, but I see
I can pick up Stadia
that.
and play Division 2 with you on PS4, and it doesn't matter where my friends are playing. That's totally fine. Stadia's going to do fine. But as long as we have these divided ecosystems, Stadia can't succeed because it's starting from zero when these other services have millions of players.
Sure.
So... Nintendo held another Nindies Direct this week with tons of new indie game announcements for the Nintendo Switch. The most exciting news announced during the Direct includes an announcement for Cuphead coming to the Switch and the Cadence of Hyrule, a rhythm action Legend of Zelda game created by the studio behind Crypt of the Necrodancer.
That's what everyone wanted.
I think it's cool that they're allowing...
Chris is doing... what's the word? Charades.
No.
No. I was saying charades of shovelware.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't know. I
Cuphead's not shovelware.
I don't think any of
the rest of the other
of the dancer is.
Nope. Cadence of Hyrule.
Whatever the fuck it's called.
Rhythm of Dancer.
I don't know. So first of all, again, Nintendo is turning into the Vita in the way that it's sort of the place to go if you want to play indie games. Not only do you have a portable experience, but Nintendo's willing to let indie developers go on their system.
If you want to play portable indie games.
Sure. But
Steam is still the place to go if you want to play indie games.
I don't know. I don't think... yes, people play indie games on Steam, but I know that I personally would rather play on indie games on a console, and I would much rather play them on a portable console.
Yeah, on a handheld. Sure, of course.
Those were happy days when the Vita was getting indies left and right because you just fucking play whatever you wanted.
Sure, but Sony wasn't also freaking porting everything in every indie game that's ever come out.
Yes, they kind of were.
Dude, if you look at the Vita library, it's not that thick.
The indie library is super thick.
Nah, it's not that thick.
Every fucking indie game came to the Vita. Also, to be fair,
if we're talking
every
about
indie game came to the PS4 and Vita.
If we're talking about indie games, sure, but I'm talking about shovelware.
I'm not talking about shovelware. I'm talking about indie games.
We're gonna get Chicken Shoot Part 4
which
on
is
fucking
I'm
Switch
specifically talking about indie games.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the entirety of the library on a Vita is not anywhere near what it was on Wii or something like that.
Yeah,
but Nintendo's extremely notorious for shovelware.
Going back to my point, though, Nintendo is the Switch is becoming an indie machine, just like the Vita was. I think that they have a comparable indie library, and
Sure.
Nintendo's been doing a really good job of catching that up. I also think it's really cool that Nintendo is willing to let an indie studio mess with their IP.
Sure.
Like I don't think that that's something that Nintendo of 5 years ago would do.
Sure.
So
That's true. I think Cuphead's a really good game for the Switch too.
I feel like the Joy-Cons would not be fun to play that
Nope.
game on.
Cuphead would not be a good game for the Switch.
I feel like the Pro Controller would be fine. I can't imagine that it
You ever
feels
played
good to play
Cuphead?
it on.
Yeah.
It's a hard ass fucking game.
Yeah.
Those joysticks on those Joy-Cons suck.
Yeah, but now, like, if you get frustrated, you can just fling your Switch across the room. Can't do that with the TV. There you go.
I mean, you could.
That's his real argument, everybody.
All right, rumor mill. Images of the reportedly incoming Xbox One S all-digital console have apparently been leaked, alongside a mooted launch date of May 7th, 2019. Rumors about the disc-free console, apparently codenamed Maverick, began last year when the Xbox One S all-digital name... with the Xbox One S all-digital name appearing earlier this month. Windows Central reports that it's received product images of the upcoming console and has remade them as Photoshop mock-ups. The images apparently show a console that is almost visually identical to the Xbox One S, minus a disk drive and eject button on the front left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking it up. It's like, you got to put pictures, Trey.
Yeah.
I need to see what it looks like.
The images also apparently show that the console will come with a 1 terabyte hard drive, plus codes for Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and Forza 3.
Thieves.
I'm sorry. No pricing has been revealed, but Windows Central reports that it will have the lowest MSRP, and I guess that was a weird autocorrect, of all Xbox One consoles. And it's worth bearing in mind that these are rumors, so much of this information could be changeable.
So $199. That would be the lowest. Because I think a regular
Or
Xbox...
$249.
No, I think there's already one for $249.
wonder.
You have to double check, but I
Let
think
me
there's
look that up.
I think the Xbox One S like base is $249. I think. Could be wrong.
It looks like it's recommended MSRP of $299.99.
Okay.
However, you can get right now at Walmart you can get one for $208.87.
$199.
It's oddly specific.
I'd buy an Xbox for $200 if I had $200 lying around.
Yeah.
Just and with a that's the thing. Like this console sounds great. It's a 1 terabyte hard drive. You got plenty of room for all digital games. I don't have to worry about drives. It's cheaper. It's ready for streaming. This one's not, but I'm just saying, right? Diskless drives could be ready for the streaming thing. Sounds great. There's my ideal thing, Trey, is Xbox and PlayStation getting on board with this all streaming service. And I don't have, that's built into the ecosystem that we're already all a part of.
I don't know.
That's where it's more ideal for me.
I feel like PlayStation already has its own
Sure,
streaming
with the
service.
Now, yeah. But I just mean an ideal situation for Chris Rodriguez. That's what I mean. I don't
It's
mean
just
like
the boxes having the streaming service.
Yeah, like just let me buy a PS5, discless, because I'm ready to accept the fucking.
Are you
digital.
really?
No, because I really like my. I really like my Division 2 digital Steelbook edition because it's super fucking pretty. It's a black Steelbook and the Division symbols in gold and it's embossed and it looks gorgeous.
This is how GameStop is going to stick around. They're just going to sell all the collector memorabilia
to me,
and that's it.
Yeah, 100%.
I really liked the way that Persona did it. Like when you bought Persona the weekend it came out, they just gave you an empty steelbook with the game.
Sure,
just sell steelbooks.
Well, see, so I'm 100% behind that. Is if like I wanted the steelbook for Division. I wanted the most expensive one, but it was like $300 on Ubisoft, and it sold out like that.
Of course it did.
The $300 did not stop him. The selling out stopped.
Sure, but I'm 100% okay with buying a collector's edition and it comes with a digital code.
Yeah.
I'm 100% okay with that. 1,000% okay with that. I'm ready to accept the all digital future. However, for me, most collector's editions come with the actual physical thing of the game, which to me is also really nice because I'm 36 years old and I just like having that library of cases on my wall.
Mm-hmm. You like having GameStop be like, do you want to pay a couple extra bucks just in case your game gets scratched?
No, I don't like that. They ask every time too. It's like, dude, we are regulars at this. I mean, don't ask me these things every time. Justin, hey, your thing right now. Do you want to go ahead? No, I don't buy used games. Explain to me once again why it's beneficial for us to get it.
Go
ahead.
It's funny because you and I are, I enjoy like leaving the house when I had a car, I would drive around and just hang out. Like I enjoyed,
Those were the days.
I enjoy not being in the house and doing things. You don't really like leaving the house unless you have something like that you really want to go
or
do.
something. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I hate buying in stores, and that is the only way that you really buy games.
I enjoy going to a store and paying money and walking out with something physical in my hand. It's all about that. I don't know if I'd call it instant gratification because
it's kind of instant gratification because you put your money down and you have a thing. And I have a thing,
but it's less instant than the digital the digital thing, right?
Because I can be at home and just like, you know what, I do want to get that.
Exactly.
I think the biggest
click.
Gap,
it's one of those things. It's like it's the reason I love. Hey, I really want this collectible thing. Why don't you just order it on the internet? Well, I'd like to go and find this thing.
Well,
right? The NECA came out with the '90s movie 6-inch Turtles. And I was able to find Leonardo and Raph, and I want Donnie and Mikey, and they're only like $25 a piece, but they're GameStop exclusive. And I wasn't able to get Donnie or Mikey. And when he's like, "Well, why don't you just order it off the online?" I was like, "I don't want to do that. I want to go to a GameStop one day, and it's like, oh, Donnie's right there. It's like, yes, and I found him, right? It's that physical thing that I found myself. I know I'm not finding collector's editions.
No, it's cool. It's cooler than ordering something online and arriving in a box and being like, huh,
it's that
cool.
Yeah, it's that endorphin.
Well, I mean,
it's that endorphin rush you get when something joyous happens and you
that's
find
the thing
something.
about like buying games digitally. Like part of the thing that stops the instant gratification is the fact that you have to wait for it to download and you have nothing to show for it. Until
it's also like I don't think
like,
I don't think buying games digital triggers that endorphin rush.
Well,
maybe a little bit, but not to the extent
that's the
of
thing,
like,
though, like as someone,
getting that thing in your hand.
As someone who's been buying games for 20 years and for you like 30 years, like I no longer have that gratification of buying a game.
Really?
Because
equate it to buying a new phone. Like when you get the next iPhone, you're like, yes.
But it's different
right?
though, because like I know like a year in advance of whether or not I'm going to buy a game. Like for the most part, as soon as a game is announced, I know whether or not I'm going to buy it. So for me, it's just a matter of waiting until I can buy it, and then I buy it, and it's just like a cycle for me. Like buying Anthem was not exciting for me. I was like, oh, I gotta drop another $60 just to play this game I really want to play. Which is like whatever. Like it's just what I have to do. It's like paying a bill.
Yeah, but see, I was
like I get excited when the game starts up.
I was
but
super
the act of
pumped.
purchasing a game doesn't do anything.
That's weird. That's so weird to me because I was super pumped to leave D&D that night and go pick up my Anthem copy. I was like super excited to go get it.
But when you bought when you picked up the physical version of the game, right? Like you were like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't show that sort of emotion. You guys know.
No,
me.
but like internally,
what does this mean?
Yes, but
for me, that moment happens when I hit start and the game is finished downloading for 6 hours.
Yeah, but there's two,
and the screen, the like Anthem screen pops up.
Chris gets two of those.
I get that as well, but I also get that thing of physically buying something that I can hold in my hand. There's that endorphin rush where yes, I'm like yes, I got it.
Yeah,
I still get that, and I think it mentally connects me to like back in the day. Whenever you would go to the Walmart, or usually where we would buy games like Walmart or GameStop, and you'd get a game, and then you would just sit there and you just read through the booklet, look at the pictures on the back.
Sure.
Like that's kind of the same thing.
Whitney and I were talking about that the other day. Like she was talking, I think she opened a book or something and like smelled it. She's like, I love the new book smell. I was like, you know what I really like? I was like, I love the smell of when you open a game and you get that plastic smell. I was like, and I especially loved it
when you tear off that plastic.
I was like,
collectibles do that too. It's that plastic smell.
The other thing was when you would pull out the instruction booklet and open it up and smell the ink and the paper from the instruction booklet. And it was always like that like glossy paper, so it smelled super good. But
I would know everything about the game before even playing it.
That was exciting, but like games have ruined it. Now you get like a shitty slip of paper advertising the next game coming out by EA and Ubisoft.
Or here's all the health warnings.
Or there's like a thing with like 3 codes on it, and you're like, this is kind of cool because I really want that cool hat. But now I have to sit in front of the PS4 and enter in this number. And it's really annoying.
But like take Whitney, right? She has her Kindle and she buys books on her Kindle. But there's nothing like you saw how excited she was when her 2 books came in today. I mean, she came home for lunch, opened the door, and they're right there. She's like, and she's opening them and she's flipping them and she's looking at them, and you wouldn't have that on a digital Kindle book.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't feel I don't feel that way about, like, the only time that I really get excited about a product
Is when you actually press start.
No, well, there's that.
Yeah.
But also, like, when it's when it's a piece of hardware. Like, when I got my MacBook, I was really excited about that. When I got my phone, I was really excited about that. When I opened up my PS4 and plugged that in, a couple months ago, I was excited about that. Like, hardware makes me excited.
Yeah, I think it's just everybody's different. I mean, in the game, to an extent, it is software, but it's also it's physical hardware. It's not hardware, but it is something physical.
Well, I think I differentiate it in my mind because, like, hardware to me, like, this thing has more potential than a disc.
I'm not talking about the difference between fucking hardware and software. I'm talking about, like, you get the thing and you're like, yes, here it is. And it's the same thing with, at least me in games. It's like, yes, it's in my hand. And, when the house is finally set up, I'll have my Division set up with the watch and display and then the cases and stuff like that. It's also a collectible thing for Whitney and I. The physical stuff, it's just having those things that we can display. We'll have an entire Fallout shelf and all this other stuff. It's why we buy these things as well. It's everybody's different though. Everybody has that endorphin rush differently. Yeah. It comes from multiple different things. For some people, it could be buying a new wallet. No shit. I'm sure somebody out there gets super excited every time they buy a new wallet because Whitney does. Every single time.
She gets excited when she buys a new anything.
Not a lot, but when she buys a new wallet, she gets really excited.
It's not the wallet. She gets that way when she buys anything.
That's true.
That girl loves buying things.
When she spends money, the endorphins fly.
Yeah. Quick saves. Quantic Dreams has announced an exclusive deal to bring their games Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human to the Epic Games Store. The deal overall marks an important move for Quantic Dream, following the company's announcement earlier this year that it would no longer be developing solely for PlayStation platforms. It's interesting how they were able to keep the rights to 3 PlayStation exclusive games after that split.
Yep.
Tells you how valuable that shit is.
Yep. Also, Obsidian also announced that they're not going to be exclusive they're not going to be exclusive to Epic, but their game is going to be on the Epic Store and the Microsoft Store instead of so that the Outer Lands, is that what it's called?
Lands, yeah.
Is that Borderlands-esque looking first person shooter?
Even the name sounds like Borderlands.
Oh, of course it does.
I totally missed that.
100%.
Like, we've been talking about how it feels like a watered down Borderlands.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
But the name is basically Borderlands.
It's gonna be on the Epic Store for the first year, right?
I don't know what the
it's 12 months exclusivity on Epic Store.
And it's also on the Microsoft Store as well.
Yeah. 343 added a pepperoni pizza skin to Halo 5 as thanks to their fans for sending them way too much pizza. Players are able to receive the skin for logging into Halo 5 on March 17th.
I say this is stupid, but I spent 170 Division credits on a weapon skin that makes it look like my gun is a Declaration of Independence.
No, you didn't.
Hell yeah, I did. Are you kidding me? It looks fucking awesome. Looks great. Yeah, I think it looks fucking cool.
You're just Nicolas Cage running around in DC.
No spoilers, but you steal the Declaration of Independence in Division 2.
No spoilers, but here's a spoiler.
I'm not telling you why.
Right.
That's the spoiler.
Is there any connection to National Treasure?
The cure to the disease is on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
Little known fact, your Division agent is actually Nicolas Cage.
I knew it.
Even the female one.
No, that's Diane Keaton.
Nikki Cage.
Diane Keaton? What was the actress's name in National Treasure? Diane
Michael
Keaton. Right?
Keaton.
No, Diane Keaton, right? No, it's not Diane Keaton.
No, it was
Diane something.
No, it was Michael Keaton. He was just very compelling as a woman.
It was one of his greatest roles.
He was a very, very attractive woman in National Treasure.
Of actors, I've been listening to the Zodiac podcast, and I saw that the Zodiac movie from 2007 is on Netflix.
That's a great fucking movie.
I had no idea that Mark Ruffalo was in that movie.
Yeah.
I saw this guy, and I was like, he
detective.
kind of sounds like Mark Ruffalo.
Yep.
It was Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr. were in a movie together before
Mark
Avengers.
Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr., Jake Gyllenhaal. That movie is fucking excellent.
I thought Justin Theroux was in it.
And now Jake Gyllenhaal is in Spider-Man as well.
Yeah. Diane Kruger.
That whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Diane Kruger.
You're really close.
Prior to the announcement of the Stadia, a Google fan site noted an update to Google Chrome that has added a section to its source code titled, quote, improved support for Nintendo Switch gamepads, end quote, in which it is clearly explained that Google intends to add Nintendo Joy-Con and Pro Controller support to its API.
Diane Kruger's dating Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead.
Wow. Weird.
No, it's not weird.
They're a lovely couple.
Well, I think Norman Reedus is a good looking dude.
No, he is a good looking dude. I just feel like Norman Reedus should be asexual.
Because of The Walking Dead, or
Because
just
Daryl's asexual. Like,
is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No,
I figured
it's just never. Talked
When's his
about.
when's his girlfriend? Who's his
'Cause
girlfriend?
I think she's a very attractive woman.
She is very.
Who's
You're
his
being so
girlfriend?
hypocritical right now.
Why am I
because,
being hypocritical?
Because before, whenever it's like, I don't understand why they had to talk about a character's sexuality if it doesn't matter to the story.
How am I being hypocritical? I'm just saying he's
now they're not-
asexual, and they
because-
haven't talked about it.
So if you have Google Safe Search,
What's wrong with
turned
being
off-
asexual, Justin?
There's nothing wrong with being
So like if you have Google
But they
Safe
just
Search
don't talk
turned
about
off,
it, and
like
that's okay.
if you have Google Safe Search turned off, like I always do, I mean, just nude pictures pop up like crazy
of her,
of her. Yeah, I had no idea she was naked either. It's good stuff.
that she was ever naked.
That's true. No, you're not naked on the internet.
Last up, posted on Gearbox Facebook page with the caption, quote, "Time to tease another game for PAX," end quote. The photo shows Ishii Sato from Bulletstorm staring at a device on Duke Nukem's wrist. It is unclear precisely which game the company is teasing, probably Bulletstorm Remastered coming to the Switch, though it owns the Duke Nukem property and published the remastered Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, released on PC, Xbox One, and PS1.
I missed the
2017.
quote of "time to tease another game." I was like, oh my god, if they announce Bulletstorm remastered at PAX after this whole fucking Borderlands 3 debacle, like, oh my god, bye Gearbox.
Well, it's like
you were okay for like 2 games.
It's time to tease another game. What if it's a twist? It's all just one game. It's like a Gearbox collection.
It's a Gearbox Battle Royale.
Or that. Gearbox Battle Royale or Gearbox like Greatest Hits. It's not a new Borderlands. It's just all the other Borderlands.
It'll be a new Borderlands if it's not. I'm telling you, man. Gearbox is
People
just
will
fucking,
riot.
Yeah, people will riot.
Ugh.
It's ridiculous.
And that was the news.
They've never said that Daryl is asexual, but people seem to think so.
I know. But they don't talk about it, and it's okay.
Who was his girlfriend on the show?
He didn't have a
Also,
girlfriend.
Carol.
you can be
No.
asexual.
I thought he and Carol were
and,
like a thing.
Everyone ships them, but
You can be asexual and have romantic relationships.
with other...
No, with people.
Am I-
You can have, like,
I'm not
Am I-
saying asexual people aren't people. I was just
Am I
wondering
misunderstanding?
how it
misunderstanding
worked.
what an asexual is? Oh, well,
no,
why
I mean,
don't they just call it non?
some asexual people do. Some asexual people are aromantic, means they don't want any romance, but they like still want to have
What does
sex.
the A mean? Are you saying A like A-I-I or like A-Y-Y like a Mexican?
No,
like,
no, no.
Hey,
Ay,
like-
ay, ay, like,
No, that
what do you-
100% no.
What does A mean then?
I think it means not sexual.
Non-sexual.
Why don't you just say non then?
Because
what does A say?
Latin.
It has to be a letter. It has to.
Why don't they just call it P-sexual?
I don't know. Why do they call it non-pathetic?
Wait, what do you
instead
mean?
of
Why do they?
apathetic?
Because non
A
is a-
means non.
Huh?
A is the prefix that means non.
Name a word that uses A other than asexual.
apathetic?
There's 2 P's in apathetic. So,
Does a P have to do with
oh
anything?
no, I guess that's true. So it's literally A-S-E-X-S-U-A-L, not A dash.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no dash.
Okay, so these are people. So if you consider yourself an asexual, it means you don't have sex.
Not necessarily. Asexual.
That's like saying, "Hey, I'm gay." Are you really gay? Not necessarily.
Well,
I
I
don't.
mean-
I don't understand.
Asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction to others or low or absent interest in desire.
Oh,
for
see, that's
sexual
very
activity.
different than that is very different than I don't have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, some are romantic and still want romantic relationships. Some
So
still want to have
basically-
sex but
They can
want
still-
no romance.
They can still feel attracted to someone without that.
No, that
automatically.
literally just said they're not attracted. They have no attraction to
lack of sexual attraction to other or low or absent interest in
lower
or
or
desire.
absent, no.
for
And what I was
sexual
going to say is they can be attracted to someone. Like I can find you attractive, but they don't have to find them sexually attractive. It's different.
So that's all about sexual attraction. Has no bearing on whether or not I find Norman Reedus attractive.
Wait, what?
What?
I'm confused.
No, I'm asking, does that just mean that they only find people sexually attractive or just attractive in general?
No, that's my thing. Is like some asexual people want to have sex, and so they could find someone sexually attractive. Some asexual people like,
But it's just at
want
but it's at a
romance.
lower thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So now here's the
just
conundrum.
like having a low libido.
Here's the conundrum. What if you consider yourself asexual, but you think somebody's like insanely hot? then you're not really asexual
I
anymore,
don't know.
right?
But
Because
there's a bunch of like.
because then you find somebody very attractive.
There's a bunch of gay people that like have like that one chick that they'd fuck,
Right.
Which
Like,
is
you can
usually
have,
that chick from.
There's like exceptions to
Orange
your-
is the New Black. She was also in
So
Fast and the Furious.
okay, so then that begs.
One that kind of
then
looks
that's,
like a
then
dude.
that's the next question is like, then why do you have to label yourself something if you're not actually going to follow the rules
rules?
set aside for the label?
Well, because I feel like it's easier to say I'm asexual or I'm homosexual or I'm heterosexual than saying I almost always only date men. But if this one chick from Orange is the New Black wanted to fuck me, I'd say yes.
See, but this is why pansexual is a thing.
I don't. Pansexual is not a thing.
This is why
Pansexual is not a thing.
And
It is not a thing.
And we just lost listeners.
I hate this argument.
and we just lost listeners.
Here's the thing about pansexuality.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Pan means everything.
Oh, yeah,
right?
this is the worst thing that's ever
really,
been talked
really,
about
really
here.
glad you guys stuck with us for so long.
Why is this where you draw the line on the bad shit we talk about on this podcast?
I'm not drawing the line at all. I don't understand any of it.
Okay,
if you're
so
attracted, if you're
pansexuality-
attracted to somebody, just fuck them. I don't care.
Which is
So-
basically what pansexuality is.
Here's the thing.
yeah,
Here's
with
the
consent, yes, thank you.
first
Yes,
sentence.
consent is important.
Here's the first sentence of Wikipedia's definition of pansexuality. Pansexuality is the sexual, romantic, or emotional attraction towards people regardless of their sex or gender identity, okay? Fine, whatever. But here's the thing about like pansexuals is that like
Doesn't that mean everybody?
Pan means everything.
Yeah, I was
pan
gonna
is
say.
everything, which means that like if someone says they're pansexual, I'm like, hey Chris, you're a pansexual. Are you attracted to those amps? Do you want to have a sexual relationship with those amps?
Oh no, I listen to that differently. I thought that meant like actual human beings.
But here's the thing about this definition, this first sentence definition, right? Which sounds reasonable to me. That's bisexual.
no, that just means that means a person.
Bisexual.
See,
No,
but I think
I'm not bisexual.
But you're also not pansexual.
Well, no,
But I think-
according
but
to
I
that,
think- I think
according
the
to
reason
that
why-
definition right there, I am, because I can find like I'm not, but it depends on what. So like if I'm looking like okay, so like if is the term trap not good?
It's not good, but
Well,
again,
what's the best term for it?
I'm
then?
not gonna. It's fine.
Okay, so but my point being is like if I find what is the best term for it so I don't offend people because I'm good at
If you
offending
find
people.
a chick with a dick,
If I find a chick with a dick attractive, that probably means that I'm pansexual.
no, it means that you're straight because you're attracted to feminine qualities. It just happens to be a dick.
I'm
See,
really
I
glad
don't
Rich
under-
is here to hear this conversation.
Yeah, like
I don't understand
it
any of
means you're
this.
straight. You're attracted to females, and that's like.
But
how many? How
but
many
females
people,
with dicks.
Here's the thing about pansexuality.
But you're not
there
attracted
she's-
to the dick part of
But
them.
she's not.
It's just.
God damn it! See,
it's
that's the whole
just,
thing.
It's part
right?
of the package.
She's not. That's my point. So like that's where it gets really confusing.
Here's the thing.
Sexuality is confusing.
But it
think-
doesn't need to be. It's because people felt so out of place because they placed themselves out of place that they needed to come up with all these words.
Here's
It's
the thing
like,
about
I just don't get it.
Here's the thing about pansexuality and why it doesn't need to exist. Pansexuality
and
means
yes, by the way, I do find those amps attractive.
you want to fuck the amps and have a
I don't
relationship.
want to
with
fuck them. I want to plug my guitar jack
Yeah,
into
okay.
them.
So then you don't find them sexually attractive.
I
Good
want
job.
to plug my guitar jack
Anyway,
into them.
here's the
turn
thing.
them up to 10.
You have to talk about chicks with dicks. Can I please talk about why pansexuality is not a thing? Anyways, pansexuality in my mind is not a thing because it covers the same territory as bisexual.
See, but it
like,
doesn't.
It does because here's the thing.
But
I think it covers
the reason
more
why
than
people
bisexual.
I think the reason why people are opposed to bisexuality is because, and this is the thinking, is that it is stating and accepting that there are only two genders. There's
No.
a guy and a girl.
Well,
pansexuality is you're open to someone who is asexual or who does
don't-
identify as gender fluid.
I don't really want to have the gender conversation because that's
But
a
I-
place where I could really dig my hole,
But
dig a hole
I-
for myself.
But I think
here's
that's,
the deal.
but I think that's
that-
where it comes down to
I
where
think that
pansexual comes
most
from.
things,
Yeah.
most people,
I get it.
most people and most things have either a masculine or feminine quality. Like like it does like like androgyny exists, sure, but I think that we view things from a masculine and feminine lens. Which
I'll
as a
fucking show you,
bisexual,
man.
I don't think that there are
ma'am.
there
It's
are
ma'am.
30,000 different types versions of masculinity and femininity. So and we like people based off of like those certain attributes. Like I'm not super into feminine energy. I like things that are masculine.
What does feminine energy mean?
Like
What does that even mean?
Oh, it's a whole nother
if
discussion.
a girl dressed up, I'm sorry, if a guy dressed a guy I like to dress up as a girl occasionally.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be super into that.
Okay, so you're not into cross dressers.
No, I'm not into femininity.
Oh, okay.
Sexually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my whole point is that like as a bisexual, you're saying I like both masculine and feminine qualities, right? Things that we should be sexually attracted to, which are other humans, fit into category A or category B or some mixture of the two.
Does pansexual also include animals?
That's the other thing too.
Because
It
that's
doesn't.
It
but
doesn't.
It doesn't.
Okay.
But anyway, like bisexuality covers it.
Now there's a line being drawn.
Bisexuality covers it. You're saying you
Right.
like both masculine and feminine energies, or maybe an absence of it, or a mixture of both. Like it covers it. It's just an extra thing to confuse people and to get them mad at you when you call them the wrong fucking sexuality.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's there. It may be there to confuse people, but I think it's there for people who are confused that need labels. Because in America or in society, we have decided as a whole that we need labels over everything.
Well, you have to be something.
You have to be
right?
something. And even the people who are, even the groups of people who are fighting for this equality, and everything, they still need labels. Like, you don't need labels.
I think four
know.
labels that cover a pretty broad spectrum are good enough. Because like if you
But
have
we
to
don't
get to
need
the
labels.
point. Well, I think labels are nice. I think it's
But
nice
they
to
don't
like
need to be
know,
labels.
like if you
Like-
walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I'm really into you," and they're like, "Ah, sorry, I'm straight." Pretty much clears it up. They don't have to say, "Sorry, I'm like 99% attracted to women, but one time in college I had sex with a dude, and so that kind of threw me off for a couple years. But after a little bit more experimentation, I realized that I'm only into women." Like that's like 6 sentences I didn't need. Like just say you're straight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Then just say you're straight. I don't understand the argument.
I'm just saying, like,
Too many
I feel like
labels.
4 labels, because I think we need labels. I think labels are nice. They simplify things. I think 4 labels that cover a broad spectrum of things is good enough.
But the thing is labels are dumb because then, like, if labels are let's say labels are the all-encompassing thing of all points in time, right? I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, I actually think Norman Reedus is a good-looking guy, because if it's a label, that automatically makes me bisexual.
I don't
when
know.
I am 100% not.
I feel like
Does that make sense?
But I feel like in an intimate conversation, you can go into more depth. But if someone were to walk up to you and be like, "Hey, are you into dudes?" You're like, "No, I'm straight."
Yeah, no, I'm straight. However,
That person doesn't need to know
there's
that.
this
Like
one-
the one exception to your
However, there was
straightness
this one
is
time on the
Norman
podcast
Reedus.
where I thought Norman Reedus was a good-looking guy.
Right. It's on the internet if you want to find
Yeah,
it.
exactly. That's
I
why I
think-
don't.
but you
That's
can
why I don't
find
like
people
labels.
objectively attractive.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. That's why I don't like. I personally don't like the whole sexual labels. I think they're dumb.
Right.
I understand why they're needed, because people need to feel wanted, and I'm using air quotations probably way more than I should be.
Well, that's. I think that's where I'm coming from, though. Is that like I don't care. You know, again, I feel like if I haven't said this on the podcast before, I've been missing out on like one of my favorite statements. I don't care if your sexuality is, you identify your sexuality as toaster, and I have to identify
that means
you.
I could play Warframe on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can play Skyrim on you as well. If your sexuality is toaster, I will use whatever you need to make you feel comfortable as a toaster sexually oriented person. However,
What if they're a toaster?
I think when you get to the point where like you have a billion different labels for something that can be summed up in one of 4 labels, that's where you get confusing, and that's
Yeah.
where you get not accepted.
Sure, no, I get that, but you know, the one of 4 labels, there's deviations from each one of those labels.
Exactly.
There
And
always
you
will
could go
be.
into as much detail as you want to when someone is having a
Sure,
face-to-face
yeah.
conversation with you. But you only need one of 4.
Sure, but this is the MySpace conundrum that we run into, right? Because MySpace is the one that I think started the whole, this is what I am and this is what I'm into, and there was just check boxes for it.
Interesting.
And so that's where people, at least me personally, because all social media pretty much banged off of MySpace, right?
No, but I agree
MySpace
with
was
you.
the Big Bang Theory in social media. And so MySpace, there was always like, you know, when you go to fill out your MySpace profile,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
way more in depth than Facebook, Twitter, or even Instagram is now. And I think that's where most people are like, well, I need to be labeled something. So, but I'm not straight, I'm not gay, I'm not bi, and I'm not whatever the fourth one would be, asexual. I don't feel like I'm any of these because I really like guitar amps. And I like to rub myself up against them at night. So I'm going to
do
go
these
with
things.
pan. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to be labeled for some
In
reason.
that case, I feel like pan is a pretty good like thing. Like I really want to fuck a couch. Okay, cool.
I watched a documentary. There was a guy that was like sexually attracted to his car. He talked about the different sexual positions him and his car would do.
Where does he stick it? In the muffler? That's the obvious
that was
part,
one of the
right?
questions
That's the
they
obvious
asked him.
part, right?
Just depends. Sometimes in the muffler, sometimes it's in the seats or in the door creases. Sometimes
That's really, but that's not
sometimes he just rubs it like against the car.
So the seat crease, it's not like soft. Like you're hitting bar right there. There's bar. I mean, yeah, there's the foam, but it's
Right.
not super thick.
Like,
I wouldn't
man,
think it's thick enough to like.
You know the thing about that
sometimes
guy?
Feels good.
you just grit your teeth and
Jesus.
That guy probably doesn't lay around wondering what his sexuality is. Like that guy is like, I'm a car fucker
sure,
and it's
yeah.
fine. That is the difference between an actual car fucker
Sure.
and
See-
someone that wants to say they're a car fucker. Like
Ri-
I'm sexually attracted to cars because that's cool and that makes me a unique butterfly. The car fucker's not thinking about what the fucking adjective for what he is.
Rich's reactions makes me want to have like a live studio audience in this. Because this is gold.
I still don't get any of it. And yes, I find Norman Reedus pretty attractive. Like he's a good looking
I think we
dude.
can all agree on that.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I think he's all right.
no, I think he's good looking because
I think he looks a little too dirty.
no. That,
Yeah, I get
and
that.
I think
I get
that,
that.
but like that's what like
That's appealing to you?
yeah, that's kind of like what that's what like does it right because like if you look at anything I do in video games, right? When I make my character, what
Yeah.
what do they look like?
Dirty.
Gruff and tumbled, right?
So
My-
you find all your video game characters attractive?
well, all like I mean, to an extent, sure, dude. Like in
I do
Anthem,
too.
how many times have we played Anthem and our javelins come down? I'm like, holy
Yeah,
fucking
no. If you
shit, that
if
dude
you
looks fucking sexy.
if you asked me who my perfect partner would be, he would be my Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition.
100%.
He
Every
looks
time we play,
exactly like the kind of person I want to marry.
every fucking time we play Division, I go into that character screen. I was like, man, that dude looks fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And it's not like, oh, I need to freaking pull this game character out, bend him over, and do him in the ass. I mean, it's like that dude looks fucking cool. Norman Reedus looks fucking cool in Walking Dead.
Right.
So much so that I actually bought a few of his like figures because I love the design of Norman
Yeah.
Daryl.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
cool,
he looks
it's cool.
fucking cool.
How do you feel about Meryl?
No, he's weird. He's all fucking bald and like the hand and shit. It's just weird.
oh, Merle?
Meryl.
I was like Meryl, like the Pokemon?
Yeah, I don't like Meryl either. It's a shitty Pokemon.
I like how you've watched like 2 seasons of The Walking Dead and you're suddenly an expert.
I've 2 seasons. Excuse you, sir.
Oh my god, that's what offends you out of all of this.
Meryl.
Yes.
Out of all of this, the one thing that offends you is the fact that you've watched more Walking Dead than Trey thinks you have.
Allow me to be a Walking Dead
Good
gatekeeper.
Lord.
for
I
a
like
second.
how you think it's that I said he watched more, but the reality is he's mad because I just said he watched less.
No, I've what? Wait, what?
No, you said you've only watched 2 seasons. He's watched way more than 2.
Yeah,
that's
well,
what he's offended.
oh,
at.
Y'all didn't
You
say the
said-
same thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're-
okay, sorry.
We're there.
That's
Yeah.
not what you said at first.
I heard what you meant.
Yeah. So back to how attractive that amp is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good shit.
I don't know. Is that
time
like aside from the fact that like, okay, I made this guy, he looks really cool and like I would like maybe date him. Have you like ever actually been in love with a video game character before?
In
Are
love?
we
Love
talking
is a
like
strong
in
word.
love, like me and Whitney in love?
No, not like
Okay.
not like an actual person in love, but I mean
Okay.
like you know, 5-year-old fucking Everett's like in love with Cortana and wants to marry Cortana.
I mean, the Cortana, sure.
Because like that's one of those things in my life that I
Basilisk Sean from Knights of the Old Republic.
that's good.
Yep.
And that's one of those
Lola
things
Bunny.
that like I've
Wow.
mostly
That's
skipped over.
That's fetish, dude.
Hey, man, I was, what, 5?
No.
4?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But it's a bunny.
She had a butt. I don't know.
That's one of those things I mostly skipped over. Like I would really like to marry Dorian. That would probably be like the one person that's the exception.
Dude, Dorian
but-
has too much baggage, man.
yeah,
way too much
like
baggage.
every gay person.
Way too much baggage, man.
That's every fucking gay guy. But yeah, I would marry Dorian.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say
But
like.
I would
in
say
love.
he's like I would
I'm
say
not-
he's like the one person I've ever been like, kind of wish that was a real dude that would
yeah,
not even notice me.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't personally like the term "in love," but like there was like in Knights of the Old Republic when you didn't know Basil at the time, but when you're trying to save her from on Terrace, it's like whatever. But then you get to know her and she becomes part of your main party, and then Malik takes her at the end. Oh man, I was
know.
fuck. I have every single time it's like. fucking gung ho to save my chick. You know what I mean?
Right. You know,
or even more recently and through this from the span of teenage Chris to now, even as Kyrie from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
100%. If anything bad happens to that girl, I'm just like, fucking, freaking, you know what I mean?
I had plenty of girlfriends on RuneScape that
No,
probably
those are-
weren't girls.
Yeah,
I had a Neopets girlfriend.
Man.
oh my God. I suddenly just understand Justin.
Right.
Like that's that meme of like the different brains and the patterns and like I'm like fucking ethereal now since that I
Right.
understand you because you dated dudes in RuneScape that you thought were girls.
Probably.
Yep.
Like,
there it is.
it lets you know a lot about
and there is
inner
Justin.
workings.
That wasn't even the question.
What?
The question was video game characters.
Those were characters in
No,
video
they're
games.
not. They're real
people.
people. That's like chatting like sex chat on AOL
You know-
with a person that you think is a girl, but
I
it's
feel
just
like-
two dudes fucking jacking off to the freaking AOL thing as they're typing that they think is a girl.
That's rough. It's rough if I was ever a part of that.
It's a slippery stroke.
That's me. What were you going to say? You feel like what?
I feel like every week we like teach you something new.
About.
I feel like this
Or
is
you
like your
teach- or
version
you
of
teach
the,
me.
No, I knew that they
Magic
were
school
guys.
bus.
Like, I mean, years ago.
yeah, later.
Like, not,
No,
like
I-
exactly, not
Yeah,
then.
later you thought you knew they were
No,
guys.
but we just taught you the difference between video game characters and people.
It's true. Video game character that you would consider yourself quote unquote in love with.
Yeah, no, sorry, I said it early in the
Oh,
beginning.
did you?
Cortana.
Cortana.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cortana's got
That's
those.
a lame one.
Bro, she got
'Cause
she got the blue curves.
Yeah, but she's naked the whole time. It's just
yeah.
asking
How do you
to fall
not
in
love
with
that?
Chris likes to have a little bit left up to the imagination.
Exactly.
Uh,
yeah.
You know, like I remember
she's too clean.
she's way too clean. I remember back when I was reading the Halo books when I was a kid, they would talk about the other AI, and so like when they would have like dude AIs, I would imagine like a naked dude, like kind of like Cortana,
Just with no
AI.
junk?
And then in like the more recent games, it's like no, he's actually not a naked dude. He's wearing like a 1940s fucking pilot outfit because you know we can't have naked men.
But the female AIs are 100%
Yeah,
naked. Yeah,
all
just
of
without just without any sort of nipples or genitalia.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's a real injustice. That
I mean, you can just go to the internet and type in like Cortana and then like something else afterwards, and there she is. I mean, they're like real people, but they're like, I mean, there she is. That would be what Cortana looks like naked.
no, I don't want to look at Cortana.
I mean, you could probably find the other. I don't know the names of the other AIs.
I don't really either. It's been a
Yeah, I
while.
have no clue.
They're still writing those Halo books.
Yeah, I bet there's a Rule 34 for like Rasputin from Destiny.
Well, I guess now I got to look that up.
Your fucking Wi-Fi here, if you were to like scrub through the fucking history, it'd be a goddamn mess.
Especially like in the last
Like-
hour, we're gonna find like Google searches for some chick named
how
Diane
to
Kruger.
dull the tone of a piano.
Yeah.
Rule 34, Rasputin.
Yep.
Oh no, it's
how we
taking
do.
me to other websites. Oh man,
What time is it? Oh, it's 6:46.
that is not Rasputin from Destiny. Pulled up Rasputin from.
Is it actually Rasputin?
It's from Anastasia.
I've never watched that.
Oh well, it's a lot.
Do Lola Bunny.
No,
That's too
just
easy.
weird.
Justin was extremely intrigued for a second.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll let my imagination keep that one alive. That one's for me.
Does anyone have any like thing they want to talk about? We got 14 minutes.
What y'all play?
Yeah. What did we play?
Justin
play-
played nothing.
False. Playing the last level of or the last mission of Anthem. I was telling Chris about this.
I was like,
finish
we
Red
already
Dead.
talked about that, but we talked about it Tuesday.
Pissed me off. Okay, so we're playing, right? Mm-hmm. And we're fighting the main boss.
Yep.
The monitor.
And you're going through the different stages. You know,
Uh-huh.
you wipe him down, he goes to the next one. So we're all me and my party. We're all standing literally right next to him. All four of us shooting him. All of us get the little alert on the screen. It's like, oh, you're too far away from the mission objective. Please move. No matter where we'd move, it just kept counting down. So then it pulled us all out. It pulled us to the next stage of the boss fight, and the doors are shut, so you can't get to him. So
So
then
he's just sitting there like,
we couldn't do anything. So we had to like keep. luckily there was like lightning that was happening. There was lightning effects, so we had to keep chasing after the lightning effects, hoping that we could get to them fast enough to drop our health and
so you
do a
die?
hard reset. And then every time that would happen, it would start us back at the beginning of that mission.
Yeah, no, I had that. I that mission was really annoying for me too because I played it on hard. Because you play everything on hard.
Yeah, I played it on hard
But for
too.
whatever reason, like it matched me with really low people, and so like in the Titan fight, they just kept going down like instantly. Like I would still be alive, but I'd be reviving everyone. They would get hit once and they would die, and so I had to play that mission like 3 or 4 times before I was finally able to beat it, which was so frustrating because it's a cool mission. Like I really like the monitor fight, but man, it was really fucking annoying.
Yeah, I tried looking up to see if anybody had really experienced that bug. Nobody was really talking about it online, but it was super frustrating.
Yeah, no, they were all boycotting. No one's experienced it because no one's playing the game.
Touche.
Yeah.
I also played Overwatch, trying out Baptiste. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he seems a little OP.
He's very OP. And I'm not good as him.
Isn't every Overwatch character when it first comes out OP, it seems like?
He seems like extremely.
He's very OP. Doomfist wasn't that bad.
Doomfist wasn't bad. I don't feel like Brigitte was annoying, but I don't feel like she was OP.
Yeah, they got better about it. But Baptiste is just
because what's his
train wreck.
super like powers you up, doesn't it?
Yes.
So like one of the things that people have been doing is running multiple characters that can power up one person. So like I saw this video of some like 2 people powering up Soldier 76, and he's just going fucking buck wild. Like 3 shots is just killing people. And he wipes out a whole team by himself with no issues, just because he's all buffed up.
It's good stuff. But
Yeah.
how's Division going?
It's good.
All right, thanks for listening. What'd you do?
With what?
Division.
I played it.
You didn't talk about it last week.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't. Not
We
really.
talked about it for like half an hour.
No, I only did like maybe 10 minutes.
It was,
I felt
it was
like
like real
half an hour.
short.
No, it was like 10 minutes because you were on your computer not paying attention.
That's true, because I was like, Chris can talk, and I needed to do some reading for D&D.
Yep.
Have you reached max level yet?
Yeah, I reached. So I was telling Trey today, like a bunch of YouTubers had videos out of how to reach max level, like the day after the game came out.
Of course.
And I looked at my time played, and I have a total of 2 days played
Okay.
total, and I just reached max level today. So it took me 48 hours to reach max level.
Yeah.
And I'm still not done with the main campaign.
But then these YouTubers are just
They did it.
skipping
They
all the
did it
side
in a
quests,
day.
just
Yeah. Well, they did it
everything.
all. They did it all in a day, and
Yeah.
like, man, that just I feel real bad for them because that's not a way to do. That's just a terrible way to experience this game. The slow burn is a way you to experience Division, and it's great. I think I said last week I'd have a lot more to say. I do, but we're kind of running out of time. I think there's a lot of possible issues with the Division that can easily be fixed. There's plenty of bugs. There's weird bugs where like if an enemy's like climbing down from somewhere, instead of a climbing animation, it'll just kind of like quickly teleport. So you're just wasting rounds trying to hit at something that looks like it's teleporting and it's not. It's just it's actually
They're
it's
just
doing the climbing
down.
animation, but the character looks like it's doing this until it finally gets to the ground. There's weird things like getting into cover sometimes. Like I should be shooting right in a straight line, but my bullets end up going off the screen for some reason, or like it looks like I have a straight line aside to something, but like there's a wall right here that's a good 2 feet away, but my bullets are hitting the wall. There's a bunch of weird shit like that that's just super frustrating and annoying. But for the most part, like it's an extremely solid game. I would say this is probably the best looter shooter on the market right now, because Division handles loot extremely well. It's not Destiny, where in Destiny you have random rolls on weapons, but there's no way to get them. There's no solid way to get that loot. So it always feels like there's a loot drought because there's no solid way to get these things. And then the way you do get those things is once you run out of things to do, you're done for the week. Sorry guys, come back next week and you can try doing this again. Where in Anthem, there's a plethora. There's not a ton of different loot. There's a lot of things, but the thing that makes loot different is those inscriptions, right? I want the God Roll inscription. I want that Ponder Infinity with 3 extra charges and 100% elemental damage. That's what I want. So you're constantly trying to get that Ponder Infinity. The problem with Anthem is that loot is so fucking scarce. It's like, It's like literally trying to find a bug in this place. It's like, holy shit, like there's nothing here.
I actually saw on the subreddit, because you know how they fixed the roles where you couldn't get
where
stuff
they
for
fix
your
the
gear.
inscriptions. Yeah.
Someone got a it was like a masterwork, or it might have been even like a legendary sniper rifle. Had really great rolls, except for like one of the attributes was an increased damage at hip fire. Yeah, and it's like, how do you hip fire a sniper rifle?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can, but yeah, sure. But where Division shines is that you're completely and utterly showered with loot. And it's the same as Anthem. It's like there is a shit ton of things. I was just telling Trey today, he was watching me play, a gun dropped that in 48 hours, I'd never seen this gun drop once. This type of gun. Yeah. It was like a FAMAS 2000. Never, ever seen this bullpup drop. Ever. And the model of it, and it's like I got one. I was like, holy shit, it wasn't good, but that's okay because but there's a ton of guns in this game. There's a ton of different armors, but what makes it crazy is that there's a ton of different shit to get. But every time you get something, there's 3 talents and attributes that all roll different every single time. So I can have a full set of Wyvern wear. It's like so there's gear sets where you have if you equip 3 pieces of Wyvern wear, you get the tier 3 bonuses, right? So like you can have equipping 3 sets of Wyvern gives you 10% extra this, 20% extra this, blah, 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 blah. And if you only equip 2, you have 2 of those things instead of the 3. So that's really nice. But then there's all these different attributes and talents that roll on high-end gear. And every time you get a Wyvern piece to drop, those are different every single time. And that would be really fucking annoying if loot was like Anthem in Division, but it's not. Loot just fucking showers from the heavens in Division. So you're always constantly upgrading. You're always consistently trying something new. The only problem I see here is that it takes a while to get a good build going. Like right now, I've just got a plethora of just random bonuses that don't really sync up at all. And so I'm about to roll over the thing into the World Tier 1, which is in-game. And I see that I foresee, I got a really fucking awesome assault rifle build. And I get my gear score up to 275, wherever the hell it needs to be. And then I go do the strongholds and it rolls over to World Tier 2. All of a sudden, now I'm getting more and more gear drops at higher level. So that 20 hours I put into making this awesome assault rifle build is null and void. And that kind of sucks. And so you get all the way to the last world tier. That's where you start grinding all this shit. But then when the next world tier comes around, which is World Tier 5 in a month or so, it's like, well, now these awesome builds that I built over the month, they're kind of useless because now the gear score goes up to 100.
Right. It kind of, it forces you to rework things.
Yeah. It forces
which
you.
Which can be a positive thing,
It could be, but at the same time, it's like, man, that it just, because everything's so random that it takes a lot of playtime to get something going. And so I first see I think the world tier system is great. I think the end game of Division's amazing. I would say the next main update's probably going to be in a couple weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks to a month, which is great because that's going to bring classified gear, a brand new stronghold, and a whole bunch of other, even the raid. So there's a bunch of things that are coming. But I just feel like with the ever evolving world tier system, that you're not ever going to really get a build and be able to stick with that build because you're always going to be consistently upgrading your gear, which is somewhat of it's like that double-edged sword. It's like, that's a good thing. That's what you want in a looter shooter is you want to constantly upgrade.
You don't want to have like the end all be all. This is the meta.
Exactly. But once you get that one assault rifle or SMG build that you have been working for and you love, but it's at too low of a gear score for you to do anything, it's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. Skills suck in Division. They don't suck. It's just the cooldown for skills is just ridiculous. I'm a Division agent. I have a it's called a hive, but it looks like a bee. It kind of looks like a beehive. Okay. I have this beehive that brings me back from the brink of death. I have these things, right? These extraordinary things, this turret that I put on the ground and it kills people without me having to do anything, and it's amazing, except when it dies I have to wait 2 minutes for it to come back. So and gunfights happen within the span of 2 minutes. I could go from one gunfight to another in 30 seconds. So now I just use my turret, and I go to the next gunfight, and I don't have any skills. It's like, well, now it's just a gunfight, which are fun. Cover based gunfights in Division are great. But
it's just, but the skills, that's something that's a lot different than probably what
Very
you're used to with
very
Anthem
different.
and Destiny too. as
Well, sure, but even from Division 1, like skills in Division 1, I felt like they were a lot more prevalent. So like there was a build in Division 1 where you had this little device that you plucked onto cover, and then anybody in like a certain radius of that cover got boosted. So you build a division agent around that skill.
Right.
I don't see that in Division 2. I don't see a build built around the turret, or I don't see anything built around this. Now gear sets aren't out. That may change everything. That may make skills useful, but skills in Division 2 just don't seem super useful. It seems a lot more. It seems a lot better to find.
It seems like the builds are more based around like those
guns,
the gear, and
but also the advanced class weapons.
I don't know that either. I haven't even got to unlock
It just
the
seemed
advanced class.
like looking at the way that the end game played out when we played it. Again, I haven't played the actual end game, but it seemed like I wasn't using my skills so much as I was like, I found more rounds for my awesome sniper rifle. Let me just one shot everything with this beast.
Sure, yeah, maybe to an extent, but I just don't. I think the specialization weapons are there as more of a support than it is anything else, because gear doesn't drop saying, 100% extra damage with your 50 cal sniper rifle. It says 100% extra damage with marksman rifles, or something like that. Which your sniper rifle, even though it is considered like a marksman rifle, it doesn't fall under that. Yeah. So you don't get that. You have like a build that's 100% marksman rifle bonus damage that doesn't apply to your sniper rifle.
Yeah, but still, I think the way they get around that is by scaling it up so ridiculously.
Yeah, sure, but then the ammo economy for the special weapons is kind of shitty right now.
Sure, but I'm just saying that, like, in terms of like where the gear seems to be, like, in terms of the actual gear that you have as a division agent, it seems like it's kind of slanted towards that level 30 build and whatever your ultimate weapon is.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so. Not the specialization, because but I might not have gotten everything yet. But everything that drops as far as gear tiers go and at level 30, none of it really says, this is good for crossbows and this is good for grenade launchers. It says this is good for assault rifles, this is good for LMGs, this is good for, marksman rifles, this is good for armor. It doesn't.
The only reason why I'm saying that is just because in the way that, like, I was and at the end of the beta, they had this pre-built character, right?
Sure.
And so I was playing the sniper, and so all my pre-built gear was based off of giving me extra sniper damage and critical hit damage and stuff like that. But even then, like, even though I had all these numbers that were boosting up the way that my individual snipers did, the snipers that I just had equipped,
that's more what it's for.
Even though, like, those numbers were great and they were doing good stuff, I could still pull out my specialization weapon and blow things away.
Sure, but that's what those specialization weapons are there for. The gear doesn't supplement the specialization weapon. The specialization weapon is just fucking amazing, which is great.
Well, that's my whole point. My point being that, like,
you were saying the gear is helping your specialization weapon.
I was saying that in terms of as opposed to your actual abilities, it seems like they're sort of banking on the main thing that you're going to be using once you hit end game is going to be like that specialization.
Oh,
weapon.
sure, maybe. I've seen videos of people doing comparisons at even like a DPS thing, because they added a shooting range in Division 2 that lets you measure your DPS, which is fucking awesome.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. But I've seen videos of people like, okay, here's this sniper rifle. Boom, one shot 50 cal sniper rifle, let's say 500,000 damage. Like, sweet. Now here's my regular sniper rifle where the with the gear benefits, boom, 1 million. So it's like it's interesting. It's just I'm not sure. I can almost guarantee you classified sets are going to completely change this, because classified sets are the ones that really make you play a certain way. Those aren't out yet. That's just the way they were in Division 2. In Division 1. Like in Division 1, there was a tactician build where you put that little thing on cover and people were just fucking crazy tanky and weapons were doing insane amounts of damage with it. There was another one where it's based all around fire. Like your fire turret does more damage. Enemies are on fire longer. Anything you do with fire, it's just more and more fire. Fire. So it makes you play differently. And I think when classified sets finally hit Division 2, that's what's going to say, this is why you should use the flame turret, or this is why you should use maybe even the bombardier drone, which really fucking sucks.
Well, but yeah. At least right now, for the time being,
Hey man,
at least the gunplay is
it's
solid.
fucking great. And
You know?
and that's the
Because
thing
it would
is,
really
like,
suck if your skills sucked
sure,
and gunplay also sucked.
And the last thing is like I got 48 hours. Shit, sorry, 72. I got 48 hours out of Division 2, and I'm not even done with the main story. So there's no, I mean, it's just crazy how good this game is. So yeah, I'd say fucking get it because it's awesome.
Cool.
All right, guys. We got to go. We'll see you next week. If you like what we do, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, the Google Play Store. You can follow us on Twitter at Twin Stick Radio or on Facebook at facebook.com/Twin Stick Radio. We are all on Twitter as well. I am at Darth Trey. Chris is at Short Change Hero, the 3 instead of E in Hero. And Justin is at Justin T. Lopez. You can send out love to the universe to Everett Jordan, who is our producer and editor. Tell him how much you appreciate this show being edited every week. And our theme song.
Tell him you're glad Haggis didn't die.
I'm glad Haggis didn't die. The show's theme song is by Connor Manning. Follow him on Twitter at Connor13, one in Connor 13 spelled out. And hire him to do the theme song for your show at downstreamstudios.com. Goodbye.
Okay, bye guys.
Peace.